Hey everyone, I'm K.A. Will,
And I'm Gabby.
and we just want to welcome you to another episode of Marriage Journey, where we talk about our own unique experience in marriage. We definitely believe that everybody's marriage journey, their marriage to their spouse, is unique. No two marriages are exactly alike. So we're just going to give you a taste of the things that we go through, and hopefully you can learn from it. Right?
Yes. So, like we say, even though we're all different, we still have some parallels. So, in case anyone's going through the same thing, we hope that you'll enjoy and get some advice.
Yeah, yeah. So on this episode, we want to talk about the weight of marriage and other responsibilities outside of marriage. What do you have to say on that?
Their adulting is for the birds. So we this week we've realized the weight of carrying all these responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good sigh. Yeah, the carrying the weight of these responsibilities does have an effect on not us personally, not just only us personally, but on our relationship with each other. Makes us become less tolerant,
Mm.
less patient. So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I mean, like you said, we talked about it this week. It has definitely. I don't know. I don't know if it's last week and this week together, or
Yeah.
the fact that we're looking for a house on top of it. But just being able to balance everything has become more strenuous, stressful. And like you said, just balancing the weight of life. So if I look at it this way, it's like I have life going on where I'm balancing all these responsibilities, like we spoke about, work, things to do around the house, bills. So you have all this stuff, personal time, and then you're balancing that, and then something comes along with your spouse where it's an issue or a problem. And once that happens, at least for me, I know once that happens, it's like, well, I'm already struggling to balance all this stuff.
Right.
Now, when I add what's going on with us to the mix, it's like this is heavier than all of this already.
Right.
So now what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So now it's like I'm balancing all this. I really can't handle balancing you in this mix. So now I'm less patient, less tolerant. You're not getting the best version of me at all, because I'm just struggling. So how is it for you when you're trying to?
So, before, when dealing with school and residency, I was like, these are just things that I have to do, right? I wasn't thinking about, or not that I wasn't thinking about it, wasn't thinking about the weight of marriage and other responsibilities wasn't a big deal because I knew I had to go to school, I had to do these things in order to become, to go into the career that I wanted. So I was like, all right, this is just how it has to be, and
Right.
whatever happens is whatever happens. Now I realize how much of a toll making those priority in my mind instead of us, and how much of a toll that has on each other, and also even on myself. Like, not, again, keeping my aspirations at the top and not really even thinking about how much left I can give to you, to our
Right.
marriage, and even to myself.
Right. So how does it feel for you when like even in the example you just used, how does it feel when your spouse or me, when I don't realize the load taking on? You know, like how does it feel to you when, okay, he doesn't realize the load I have, he doesn't realize what I have to do, my responsibilities. How does that feel like when I'm not understanding or empathetic or sympathetic with that?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like before I was stoic and whatever happened, we deal with it fine. But now that things are slowed down, I'm like, oh wow, I really feel this, or this is has a heavy weight on my heart. Let's try to figure that out. But then you're dealing with your own struggles. So my response now is, all right, I feel this, but I don't want to add more to you. I don't want to become another thing on your list that you have to handle.
Gotcha.
I don't want to add more to your pain or your burden, so I'll just deal with it, but it's still hurt, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I guess for me, it can be discouraging, like when you don't understand my burdens or the things that I'm going through. And I've even seen it affect our communication, where because you don't understand my burdens, where I'm coming from, my personal struggles of trying to balance, you know, our life and marriage, I see it affect our communication in that I probably withdraw, or I'm very short. Like, yeah, I'll answer, but I'm not really trying to dive into this right now with someone who I feel is not really understanding where I'm coming from. So I see it definitely affects us, our communication, and then that can stem on to other things, physical intimacy, spending time apart where we would normally spend that time together. So those things are things that we definitely have to pay attention to, because when things start going off course, it's easy for you to just go along with it instead of saying, hold up, something doesn't seem right with either the communication, or we're withdrawing from each other, or have I taken the time to engage and understand you today, or, you know, vice versa. So yeah, I've definitely seen that affect us. How does it affect the communication to you?
So while you were talking about that, I was thinking of how, like you said, little things happen, steer you off course. But sometimes you just keep going off course because you're like, self-preservation. I gotta protect me. I gotta protect my feelings. So if we're not having good communication, all right, I withdraw, and I'll just deal, and just keep going further and further apart. So our default, in my opinion, as human beings, is self-preservation is to withdraw, or, you know, some people withdraw, some people go towards, but I guess at least for me, I can talk about me, is to withdraw, and before I know it, I'm over there, you over here. And I'm thinking we're good because we're still taking care of the kids, we're still going to work, taking care of the household, all those chores are done or whatever, but there's still a great chasm between us that now we have to find out how to get back together and figure out what even first got us away from each other.
Right. That's
true. You have to go back.
Yeah, you have to think back on what happened, or what currently is happening to make you feel that way. But something you said about, you know, the whole self-preservation, or when something happens, we look to protect ourselves first. And I think that's where it's different in marriage. Yes, you want to make sure you have self-care, but when something is causing strife, or, like you said, putting a wedge between you and your spouse, it's like, that's not the time to say, oh, let me just withdraw and take care of, do me over here. I'm going to just do me, you do you. That's not the time to do that, because we've said it before in the past, it's actually those conflicts or those times where you notice something is going on, where when you come together, It makes you stronger in relationship. It brings you closer together.
Right.
So it's very important in those times to seize those moments, you know, those opportunities to say, man, how can we conquer this together now?
But here,
Yeah.
who wants to be hurt? Who
Right.
wants to feel like, all right, I'm going to come towards you, but there's a chance that you're not going to understand where I'm coming from, or you might reject me because you're dealing with your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do me.
Right.
Protect me.
I don't
My
feel like talking
feelings,
to you right now.
Protect my vulnerability. But
Right.
like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a constant fighting against the default.
Mm.
Constant fighting against my own. I talk for me. Constantly fighting against my own default of self-preservation, and know that you are a good-willed person, that you do care about me, that you do want the best for me, that you do love me,
Right.
and you do care about my feelings. You know, I have to play that all in my head. He
Right.
is not my enemy. Reference to the other videos. Watch them. He is not my enemy.
Right.
You know, so, but it was a constant fight. I parallel it to fighting against self. You know, fighting against the flesh, pursuing the spirit, because the default is the flesh.
Right. Right.
So this is like a constant battle.
So in all of that, there are times where we don't understand. I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
We don't understand each other's point of view.
Right.
Because as me and you talk all the time, but as we talked about this part, it's like men think a certain way, operate a certain way, react to those situations a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then women, they react a different way. They process it differently from guys.
Right.
They look at it from a different angle than guys do.
Right.
So where have you seen that we have that lack of understanding the different point of views?
All the time. I can't think of an example. Do you
Can't
have
do
one?
I really can't do what you're just gonna say all the time.
Seriously, right? Like,
No, and not necessarily an example. I mean, an example would be good, but like, can you think of how you see that happening and how it affects us? Or, I guess, let me try to think of an example.
Yeah, I can't think of one, but I can tell you how I feel when that happens.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm like, why can't he understand?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like, why can't he understand what I'm trying to say? And I can see that even in just little things like, go do this, or this is somewhere, I don't know, like you just, I don't know, description or something, and you're like, oh, but I see this in a different way. And I'm like, okay, why can't he see it the way I see it? And then when I listen to you, oh, that's fair. That's how that. One could interpret what I said like that.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't supposed to, but one could.
I wasn't supposed to.
One could interpret what I said
Oh God.
differently than what I meant.
Yeah. So it's like, are there times where you shouldn't try to talk it out?
Yes.
Give me an example. Like, what happens? Like, is it tension? Is it?
When temperatures are rising, you gonna say something that you ain't supposed to say. When you don't have the filter,
Mm-hmm.
and when you really can't process the other person, and you can't. Right now, you don't have the compassion
Mm-hmm.
to speak in love.
Mm-hmm.
You take a breather and find out, okay, why am I mad? Like, why am I frustrated? Why am I treating this person like an enemy? I want to just yell, call them out the side of their names. Like, why?
Mm. You be one to call me
Enemy
outside my
feel
name?
never. They didn't. Why are you laughing? I'm serious. Never.
Uh-huh.
But then when I take time to process what happened or why am I so mad, and I'm like, it was this little thing.
Mm.
It was this little misunderstanding. You hurt my feelings. You stepped on my pinky toe, and now I feel like.
But what happened? That little step on your pinky toe was just enough, and all that you were weighing and balancing
Mm-hmm.
to make it too heavy. Yeah, to make it something heavy to
Right.
hold on to.
Right. It'd be like, all you do is just
Yeah,
pinch me a little bit, and it probably by accident,
yeah, yeah.
but let things pile on. I forgot what your original question was.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But I guess the last
What about
thing.
you?
Well, I was gonna say, I guess the last thing we can talk about is how do we keep that balance? Like, what are we supposed to do? Because you can feel it. Well, first of all, you gotta be aware to feel that, okay, things are getting out of balance. It's getting a little too much. So, but when you do realize it, when you're aware and you're like, oh, I'm spotting this now, what do you do to get it back in focus?
Well, part of what you said about being aware, realizing I'm not giving 100%. I can't give 100% right now.
Mhm.
That's another way to tell that you need to take a step back. Like, I can't give 100%. But, yeah, being aware, and then, I don't know what it's called, like going back, and hindsight is, looking back and seeing what caused it,
Mhm.
and saying, pillow talk, I need to vent.
Yeah, true. Just getting it out in the open.
And using the I words, it was very popular as far as being able to resolve conflict, saying I feel or I this, so that the other person doesn't feel like it's all their fault. Because really there's multiple factors. It's not just one person did the wrong thing.
But that's the person that's there that usually gets the brunt of it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't unload it all the time at work. You can't unload it at school, at church. You can't unload it when you go to the store.
Uh-huh.
But when the person you're most with is the person who is mostly affected by the weight you're carrying.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You unload it on them all the time because y'all are that close. Y'all are mostly around each other. So yeah.
So yeah, talking it out, please.
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
made that mistake early of just withdrawing, of just keep going, and whatever damage is, whatever collateral damage occurs from me pursuing my dream or whatever is what it is. But yeah, being aware, asking for a spiritual vision and insight. Taking time, discernment. Taking time to just chill before you keep rolling into something you can't get out of.
Yeah.
Just stop and say, all right, let's figure out why my feelings are hurt.
Right.
And I know part of it for me is that, feelings are not that important. You're weak if you feel your feelings.
Mercy.
Nah, but then it causes so much destruction, unbeknownst to you, and it's not intentional. But it can cause some destruction when you're not really understanding how you're feeling and then the actions, the feelings behind your actions. Yes, the feelings behind your actions.
Gotcha.
You really gotta. But yeah, just realizing it's not on purpose that you're not giving 100% to your spouse.
Yeah.
I think it was left after dealing with all those problems, but being intentional, like we talked about, even if we have to do separate things, sitting on the couch together.
Right. We're not
Proximity.
doing the same thing, but at least we're sitting closely together.
Right.
I got you. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you seen help to bring us back together and help prevent us from going down the rabbit hole?
So one thing that I'm an advocate for is trying to resolve it as soon as possible. Like as soon as I notice something is not right, or as soon as I notice there's a rift between us, or I may have made you mad, or you may have offended me.
Yeah.
Let's resolve this thing so that we can live our best life. Because it really sucks when you're not living, in that communion with your spouse, that closeness, that intimacy.
Yeah.
Because then what are you doing it for if you're not living that fully? You see what I mean? So it's not worth it. It's not worth it to be mad at each other. It's not worth it to have those disagreements in that way,
Yeah.
or to make it drawn and stretched out to where, nothing's being resolved, nobody's speaking, silent treatment, all this foolishness.
Yeah.
To me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm definitely an advocate for, and I'm not saying everybody is like this,
Mm-hmm.
but I just know for me, I'm like, let's talk about this. Let me and you resolve this. Let's see where we went wrong, so then we can move on and move on in a good way.
We have to schedule time to talk because we
Yeah.
the way
And I definitely, like you said, I would wait until, we're both in pretty good moods, because you want that timing to be, that timing is important. You want to do it when the person is mad or when they just had a bad day or a rough day.
Yeah.
Even sometimes bedtime is not the best time because they're so tired. So,
Oh God, when will we have time?
right. So that's the thing I see. One of the things I see working.
So here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing, as much as I talk about how I don't want to share my feelings and I don't want to feel my feelings, I'm a sensitive person.
Okay.
I like to keep my walls up. So now, if I am offended by little things,
Mm-hmm.
how are you gonna handle it?
If you're offended, you mean how you gonna handle it?
How you gonna handle
I wasn't offended.
Bruh, because I'm gonna talk to you and be like, this hurt my feelings. Ooh, even saying that out loud, I'm like, really, Gabby? But some things really do hurt my feelings that you might not be able to appreciate the gravity
Right.
or the effect that it has on me.
Gotcha.
So what should I do and what should you do?
Well, definitely, like I just said, see what kind of space I'm in. Like, am I not in a good mood, having a rough day, or whatever? Am I talkative, not talkative? But you can still come to me. Yeah. All right, everybody. I think that's a good place to end. Again, we hope that this has been helpful. We're just sharing our unique experience of what happens in our marriage, and we hope you can take something from this.
Oh yeah.
So we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.